for the coaches, and all people can hear it, but at the end of the day, it's for the coaches. Um, this conversation is controversial, I guess, but it's just again my perspective. If you agree or disagree, it's great. You should have an opinion on the things that I say, and let's talk about it. So, this is what I learned as a coach, and it was a wake up call. So, the topic is coaches. Athletes don't need you. They don't. You're not the boss. You are just a part of the journey, and they can let go of you at any time because they are the key. So, here's what I mean. Um, when I started coaching, I quickly realized that when I gave them the workouts, they were going to do them or not do them. I had no control over them doing the workouts or not. Then there were times where I would coach Dami and Titan, and I would be like, all right, we just finished jumping. I need you guys to go run 4 200s. And they would say no. And they would literally lay on the ground and say no. They would just lay on the ground. Ah, man, I wish I could show this picture. It'll take too long. But anyway, what I'll do is I'll post it onto my YouTube thing. I have like a post thing. I'll post it. It's funny. But they would like just say no, and they would lay down and be like, "We're not running." And I'd be like, "How? Who are these kids?" Right? And then they would get up and play tag and run around the whole field and essentially get the 200 meters in, right? And so I was like, okay, I can't control their work ethic. I can't control their success. I can only, like that quote, lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, right? And I quickly realized like I could only do so much for them. The next part is I was having athletes, Brian Finney, he was supposed to win long jump. Um, he jumped and like when he landed, he put his hand down, and that distance was where everyone else was, but his butt was the winning jump. And I was like, oh man, I realized like I don't have any control over any of this stuff, right? Like no matter how much I yell, no matter how much I scream, no matter how many like pep talks I give an athlete, if they're not going to do it, they're not going to do it. And it goes on the other side. If an athlete doesn't want your coaching, they're not going to take your coaching. Athletes can smell fear. Athletes can smell inexperience. It's just like they see it, right? And these athletes now are honestly smarter than we were because they have seen and experienced so much more at this age than we have. If you grew up sheltered in a certain space, these athletes can grow up in the same exact space, but their phone allows them to travel the world immediately. So they have more experiences. They've seen everything. So the reality is they don't need you. If you're a great coach, but you're not providing good service, they will just move on. A lot of athletes won't tell you to your face because that generation, they don't. Our generation, we would literally say, hey, you suck. You're not as good. You don't know what you're talking about. These kids may not say that, but they'll just leave and they'll make an excuse or give a reason for why they're not doing whatever they're doing, or they just won't say what they're truly doing. The reason why these kids don't need you is because if there's something out there that's better, they will go get that. So what does that mean for coaches? It means that you have to provide a service that is a great experience. I know I don't offer every single experience, but I offer a lot of experiences. I offer fun, a team community, motivation, growth as people, all these things within my program. And then obviously I provide results, right? Results have been ongoing every single year. And each year I look at, okay, the results are set. It's happening. Just hop in line. We got you. But now it's like, what else can I bring? Now it's better uniforms, with Track Barn, which are doing some like very cool stuff, right? Offering more travel experiences if we're going to Nike Nationals, U20, like these things. Now it's like, okay, how do we create team events? Like so many more things. I have to become a better coach. I have to hire better staff. I have to post more about the athletes. I have to create this experience because there are other programs out there doing all this stuff too, right? There are trainers out there that you know for a fact that you are a better coach than these trainers, but they're marketing better than you are. And they're letting people know what they offer. Well, they don't need you, they need them, even though the reality is they actually should be with you. So what I'm saying is the athletes don't need you because if you're doing the bare minimum, if you're an old school coach and you're like, I don't mess with that social media stuff, great, then hire someone to do the social media stuff, right? Whatever you don't do, someone else does, and they will move to that person. It's just like that, right? If you're not giving me what I need, I'm going to get it from somewhere else. And these kids aren't physically saying that, but their actions are, right? Kids are coming to me because you aren't doing what they feel that they need, even though you might be doing everything that they need. And the part that sucks is I I I, I watch parents, right? And I see how they are navigating their kids. And I'm like, this sucks to be no, sucks isn't the word. Being a parent has its challenges. And I don't have kids yet. We're in process of that. But I'm like, how do you guys figure out what's right and what's wrong? And the reality is, there's no right or wrong. You could be the very best parent, doing everything perfect, always at every single track meet, always there. And then the kid's like, you're there too much, or you're micromanaging me, right? Or you're never there saying, I'll give you your space. Kids are like, you're never there. It's just like, oh my gosh, like what do I do? Or here's some brand new track and field spikes because I love you. These aren't the right ones. It's like, yo, what is going on? Right. So when it comes to coaching, you can offer everything. However, the kids might see it as a negative or they just don't want it. It is what it is. Right. But what I will say is they like this variety. They like a piece of everything. If you can offer everything, then there's kids that'll be here for these things and not those things. There's also kids that are there for those things, but not these things, right? And it helps the program build and develop. If you are a track and field coach and you don't have any kinesiology background, you don't have any background of, movement or biomechanics, and you're trying to teach a technical event, the kids know that you don't know what you're talking about. So if you try to BS around it and be like, I did this, I did that, I had this athlete do this, that's great, but that athlete did it. I didn't do it. And I'm hearing you say things that don't make sense. So the biggest thing that I've said to my athletes and coaches that I mentor is have 3 layers of why. 3 layers of why meaning one is here's your drill. The kid's gonna say why. Have a layer of why are we doing this? We're doing this because here's the workout and here's what it does for your overall performance. Then the kid's going to ask why again. Many times we as coaches stop asking questions, get the workout in. When you do that, the kids now feel unseen, unheard, and will pull back from the emotional connection. But if you can answer that second why, well, because I've noticed when you're running, here are some flaws that you have, and I really want to help improve you. And this is going to be a big part of your success. Great, that should be enough, right? But what if it's not? Having that third layer also helps. Well, why do I got to improve? Why am I not running fast like the other girl or the other guy? Because I've noticed that when I'm training you, there are certain areas in my program that strengthen certain athletes and your body isn't responding to it. So I want to figure out how we can do that. Whatever it is, the more whys, the more layers of why you can get into, the more understanding and accepted that athlete's going to feel. The reality is they don't need you. But if you can explain what you're doing, they then trust your vulnerability. They then respect your honesty. And they're going to stay with you because these other coaches aren't doing anything. Just this past week, I have a virtual athlete who's competing with Leap Squad, different state. He's been on his own, right? Doing great things. And this athlete was approached by a club team out in his area. And the coach said, "Hey, what's your plans for outdoor the summer season?" The kid said, "I don't have a plan yet, but I think we're going to do these meets." The guy said, "Great, let's have you train with my team." And the kid told me, and I was like, "Well, if that's what you want to do, you can." But I said, "But last year you trained with two teams and your performance wasn't as well. This year you buckled down to one team and you had great performance." I said, "If you choose to go with that team, I prefer you go with that team and not mine. Just choose one team. Have one philosophy. That's fine with me. I prefer you to stay with me, but if not, you're good to go." He thought about it. He's like, "Well, I actually want to stay with you because I've had this improvement and I respect what you're doing. I trust your process." Great. Right? I said, "Okay, well, good." And then I said, "Well, let that coach know how you feel and what your decision is because you're an adult now." That kid did that. The coach said, "Well, how about this? You can train with Leap Squad, but then wear our jersey." That is a slap in the face for the the other coach, the other side, right? I'm taking it as a slap in the face. And it's like, I get why the coach did it, because the coach is looking for advertisement. He's a walking billboard, right? Because he's jumping and running certain distances that are successful. And so now he came to me and said, like, "Yeah, this is what the coach said." And I said, "I want you to think about what he's asking you and look at, different perspectives." So I said, "Ask your dad what this conversation is really implying." So we're going to have a conversation later on, but the reality is the fact that an adult talked to this kid and is basically trying to pull advertisements out of him. It's like, I get it. It's a business, right? But if it is the business, then say, "I'm going to pay you money to wear our jersey." Then maybe the kid can see a benefit or do that, yes or no. Right? But at the end of the day, it's like, that's tough. That's tough to ask someone, "You're training with them, but wear my jersey." Right? And then now it's like, I got to explain to the kid where that's right or wrong and my experience with it. So don't do that. Right? And now that kid is like, I don't trust some of these coaches because I see what they're doing. They're using my name, image, and likeness. Right? Now, on the flip side, you could say I am too, because I have my virtual athletes. I'm promoting their successes, all those things. Yes, I am. Right? I'm also giving them the experience, and everything is coming organically. Right? And they are aware of these things. It's very transparent. It's not that I'm going around trying to find athletes to promote, but this coach is, and it's causing situations. Right? But if you're a high school coach, you have these coaches that are coming around doing this, saying, "I can get you better than your other coaches." This coach didn't say that, right? But there are coaches that do say these things. They're causing conflict between club and high school coaches. And the issue now is the kid's going to say, well, I have this. I'm being taught by a full-time teacher who coaches me. And I could be taught by this coach who has these athletes. They have these uniforms that look really cool. They have these bags. And they're like, "Oh, which one do I want? This or that?" And now they're torn, right? But then again, it comes down to the high school coach needs to do what? Level up their experience. Because if it's cool jerseys, travel meets, social media presence versus I don't do social media, I just run and we get results. Well, if we're going to get results in both places, I would also choose the results with the social media, with the jerseys, the travel meets, which means you need new jerseys, which means you should add in optional travel meets. you should also create these things to compete with this new trend. And the reason why you should compete with this new trend is because the trend is that they're saying, I like to go to New Balance because the backpack is better than Nike. If they say that, then they're telling you what the trend is moving to. The kids like to feel important. Are you making your kids feel important? If you are, then they are going to get approached, but they're going to say, yeah, but I'm good here because I trust the coach, because I respect the coach, and I have a version of what you're offering already. It's pretty simple. All right. So yeah, the coaches, the athletes don't need you. So it's our job to make what we're doing desirable, right? And to be honest, I'm a club coach. I no longer coach high school because I can offer so much more to our community, and I see the difference between the two, right? So it kind of is what it is. But if you have the mentality of the kids don't need me, it then makes you train, compete, post from a space of here's what I have to offer and the reasons why you should be with us. And having that conversation is very important. So kudos to the coach that came to an athlete, a leap squad athlete that said, hey, we want to work with you. Why? Because then the kid now feels special. So now I'm like, I need to make him feel more special. How do I do that? And this competition is great because at the end of the day, he's feeling that much better about himself and is going to compete that much further, that much harder, and train that much harder, which he is now. All right. So don't take these experiences as the quote as the kids don't need you as a negative. Take it as self reflection. Am I providing the service to these kids that is the best possible? If I went cheap on jerseys and it doesn't make them feel good, or they're looking at other kids' jerseys and like those look pretty cool, well then you want that. This year with Track Barn, bro, the kids are like proud to wear their jerseys. They're proud to wear their backpacks. The kids wear their backpacks to school now. They're like, yeah, I got this new bag, right? And then their jackets, like they're wearing these things. I also have a Leap Squad sweater, that sweatshirt that has Leap Squad the same color as the shirt. So it's just like very subtle, right? The kids wear that all the time. They like this lifestyle version of stuff. Nike did this. They created a lifestyle version. Track and field currently doesn't have um, a track and field lifestyle clothing, right? There's Nike SB, which is Nike skateboard. It's a skateboarding version of clothing, and we don't really have one for track, right? Track coaches typically, the old school way is they wear golf clothes, and it makes no sense, right? So I'm now shifting into I want to create my own version of how I should look as a coach, what professional looks like, right? But also for the athletes, create a new version of what track fashion looks like. It's possible. So make sure that you have this incorporated into your track team. They will like that. Man, one of our athletes was like, "Yeah, let's get Crocs, Team Crocs." I'm like, "That's cool." Then there's ways to customize Team Crocs. Like make it fun, and have fun, and make it to where the kids enjoy being around your program and the experience that you provide. All right.